Hi guys, today we are going to finish up Fables and we are working on standard RL3.2. We are going to again read some fables from diverse cultures and then we are going to determine the moral and we are going to find the key details that help us figure out the moral of the story. So I'm going to scoot this over here. All right, and we are going to get started. Very quickly, let's just review what a fable is. Remember that in our fables, we are going to have animals as characters. The animals act like people. The setting is outside. There are usually only 2 or 3 characters in a fable. There's always a character who has a weakness, and that's usually part of the plot that helps determine the moral of the story. Usually there's a villain in the story, so the villain is the bad guy, and usually that character also contributes to the moral of the story. There's a hero who helps solve the problem, and then fables always teach us a lesson, and we call that lesson the moral of the story, and that usually comes at the end of the fable. All right, if you did not have a chance to listen to this very short video, you can get the link on the instructions page and just watch this. It is going to help us learn how to find the moral of a fable. All right, so today we are going to read a fable called The Wind and the Sun. And this one's a little bit different because instead of there being animals as characters, we are actually using things in nature as the characters. But they do talk and they act like people. So that's called personification, right? Which we learned about. And so we will see some personification and we are going to really think about the story that the wind and the sun are telling. All right, so remember, job number 1 is going to be to figure out the moral of the story. And then job number 2 is going to be for us to find details that help support the moral of the story. All right, and before we begin, it says, did you know both the sun and the wind can be used to make electricity? We call them clean energy sources. All right, let's start our fable. Wind and sun were having an argument. Each thought he was the strongest. I am much stronger than you, said Wind. You may puff and you may blow, but I believe that I am the stronger one of us, said Sun. Just then they saw a man traveling down the road. I know how to solve our disagreement, said Sun. We will have a contest. The one of us who can make the man take off his coat will be the strongest. It's a deal, said Wind. I want to go first. This contest will end quick. Whatever you say, agreed Sun. He hid behind a cloud and watched Wind do his work. First, Wind puffed just a little. A cool breeze rushed past the man who put his hands in his pockets. Wind frowned. He huffed and blew even harder. A swirling blast of air nearly knocked the man to the ground, making him button the coat from top to bottom. Quickly, Wind followed with another gust. Each time the wind blew, the man pulled the coat closer and tighter around himself. At last, Wind was out of breath. I don't imagine you will find this job any easier, said Wind. He became still and waited for Sun to work. Sun peeked out from behind the cloud. He rose just a bit in the sky. The man looked up and smiled. Sun stretched his rays. The man unbuttoned his coat. Then Sun shone brightly in all his glory. The air warmed greatly. Soon the man found it too hot to walk with his coat on. He slipped it off and tossed it over his shoulder. Smiling and singing, the man did a little dance as he walked out of sight. All right, so our first job is going to be to find the moral of the story. I'm going to give you a minute to just think about what you think it might be. What did you say? I think that the moral of the story, because we saw the wind, and the wind was trying to get the man to take off his jacket by being windier and windier and windier, which I kind of think of as meaner and meaner and meaner. And then all of a sudden the sun comes out and he brings out his warm rays. And I think that the sun is, it's warmer and warmer and warmer. And that's what ended up being what the man needed to take off his coat. So I'm going to say it is more important to be, how do I say this? What this? Being nice can sometimes get more results than being mean. And it's not really like the sun was being nice and the wind was being mean, but I think that's kind of the picture that they were trying to paint for us. All right, so I'm going to scoot this down to my space. And then our next job is going to be to find evidence. So if it is, we're going to look for ways that the sun was being nice, or ways that the wind was being mean, or how they were getting results. So having the man take off his jacket. Okay, so let's go. This is the beginning of our story. I'm going to get my highlighter ready. Okay, and I think I am going to pick purple to highlight with. All right, so I'm going to reread this story, and if it talks anything about getting results by being nice or getting results by being mean, I am going to highlight it because I want to try to support what I thought was the moral of the story or the lesson. Okay, so Wind and Sun were having an argument. Each thought they were the strongest. I'm much stronger than you. You may puff and blow, but I believe I am stronger. They saw the man. They decided they were going to try to get him to take off his jacket. All right, so I don't think I see any clues on this page that talk about how sometimes being nice gets more results. Whatever you say, agreed Sun. He hid behind the cloud and watched as Wind did his work. He puffed a little. Cool breeze rushed past the man. He put his hand in his pocket. Okay, so I actually think that might be part of it right here. Ooh. Right? He puffed and he made a cool breeze. It rushed past the man and it made the man put his hands in his pockets. Wind frowned. He blew even harder. And the air almost knocked the man down. So he buttoned his coat from top to bottom. So instead of the man doing what he wanted, it actually made him do just the opposite. Okay, and then it says Wind followed with another gust. Each time he blew, the man pulled his coat even closer and tighter around himself. So he did not like that. All right, and then he says to Sun, oh, it's not going to be any easier for you. So he became still and waited for the sun to work. Now we have the smiling sun over here, and she's peeking up from behind the cloud. The man looked up and smiled, so I think that's part of it, right? You can tell he's getting happy. Sun stretched out his rays, and the man unbuttons his coat. Okay, the air warmed greatly. Soon the man found it too hot. He slipped it off and tossed it over his shoulder. So she's being nice, and that's what worked. He took off his coat, right? All right. So those are the details that help support my moral of the story, which I thought was being nice can sometimes get more results than being mean. Your job today is going to be to read another fable. It's called The Ant and the Grasshopper. And you are going to first read the story. It's 2 pages long. Write down what you think the moral of the story is. What does it teach you? And then reread it and use your highlighter to highlight places in the book that helped you make your decision about what the moral of the story was, or help support your moral. All right, good luck. I hope you enjoyed the story of the ant and the grasshopper.